Coming up on this episode. This is the 1969 version of Farrah Fawcett, and she was still 7 years away from her hit series Charlie's Angels. This episode was pretty interesting due to the fact that the two contestants who lost didn't take it well.
Which one gets the dates?
Number two.
Number two, all right. What you like? He's going to send you that once more.
Thanks for stopping by. I did not know that. Classic TV edition. Please like and subscribe.
Please stop saying don't forget to like and subscribe.
Sure, but how are we going to get followers?
For those too young to remember, there was a unique TV show way back in the 60s and the 70s that tried to get single people together. It was simply called The Dating Game. Each segment of the show was accompanied by the distinct trumpet sounds of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass playing the song Spanish Flea, which sounded a bit like the song playing in the background right now. A bachelorette would get to ask three members of the opposite sex some questions. All three men were hidden behind a wall. Occasionally, a bachelor would be the one asking the questions to the three eligible women. The questions are sometimes serious, but they were often very silly, like, if you were a pizza topping, what topping would you be and why? Over the years, the dating game underwent several revivals and adaptations, including a syndicated version in the 1980s and a brief revival in the late 1990s. The program would sometimes place a celebrity on the show, either as the one asking the questions or as one of the three contestants sitting behind the wall. Oh my word, it's Alice! Let's hope Sam the Butcher wasn't watching TV that night. Anyway, once a date was chosen from one of the three contestants, the prize was usually a trip to another country or places in the U.S. like a luxury ski resort or a cruise to Hawaii. Back in those days, a chaperone from the show always went on these dates with the couple. What most viewers didn't know is that it was fairly common for one of the winners to turn the date down. They always had that option. There were various reasons for this. For a celebrity, the entire thing may have been just publicity stunt, and they had no intention of ever going on the date. Another reason is that upon seeing their mystery date, they were either disappointed or, in the case of one woman, who declined the date because she said she got the creeps when she met him. Her instincts were good because only a year later, Rodney Alcala, the man she had picked, was arrested and eventually convicted of being a serial killer. So today, let's take a look at clips of some individuals who were famous at the time or one day would become famous who appeared on The Dating Game. There are two contestants that we will save for the very last because they are very unusual. They were actually asking the dating game questions for someone else. So let's start with three who were not famous at the time. One thing I found out is that many aspiring unknown actors or actresses would go on the show simply to get their faces seen on national TV. And many really had little intention of dating the people if they won. You may recognize this guy. Of course, it's Tom Celic. You know him now. But back in the day, he appeared twice on The Dating Game, and incredibly, he lost both times.
Standing 6'4", it's reasonable and correct to surmise that bachelor number two is an outstanding varsity basketball player. He's from Detroit, Michigan. We'd like you to meet Tom Celic. Good luck, Tom.
Number two, if you were to apply for a mail order bride, how would the order read?
Reasonably tall, good looking, good personality, and not too inhibited.
The most. Was it bachelor number one, bachelor number two, or bachelor number three? Which one is your choice?
Well, I think number three.
Bachelor number three. Okay. You did not select bachelor number two, and he rides tall in the saddle, too. He's 6'4". Varsity basketball player, would like to be a businessman someday, from Detroit, Michigan, Tom Celic. Tom, come on and say hello to Madonna. It's about the right height, isn't it?
She hadn't quite mastered her famous hairdo yet, but she still had that great big smile.
Hello, Farrah. How are you? Nice to see you.
This is the 1969 version of Farrah Fawcett, and she was still 7 years away from her hit series Charlie's Angels. This episode was pretty interesting due to the fact that the two contestants who lost didn't take it well.
Which one gets the dates?
Number 2.
Number 2, all right. All right, bachelor number 2. That's terrific.
Well, you like? He's going to send you that once more.
Hey, fellas.
Well, it was Farrah, and who wouldn't have been angry if another guy got the chance to get the date with her? The truth was, this was an episode honoring April Fool's Day, and it was all just a joke. The 3 contestants were actually stuntmen.
How about a hand, ladies and gentlemen? Lance, nice going. Paul, thank you. Good job. So they really weren't hurt. Please welcome Philip Hartman. Phil, good luck.
Next, we have Phil Hartman in his very first TV appearance. And aside from comedy, Phil was already a pretty serious artist with a degree in graphic arts.
Bachelor number 3 has actually designed the covers for over 25 best-selling record albums. He has appeared on over 100 radio commercials.
Phil was a great mimic, and you can hear his inner Johnny Cash come out when he's asked to greet this Texas lady.
How about number 3?
Howdy, buckaroo.
Oh, this is going to be good. Are you ready to go? Which one will it be? Will it be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3?
Unlike poor Tom Celic, Phil Hartman won his date.
Who's the lucky fella?
I think it's going to be good old number 3.
Number 3, all right. Oh, you have a happy man over there, I'll tell you. Here's your man, Philip Hartman. Philip, come on and say hello, please.
Although he had appeared in the low-budget film Hercules in New York, Arnold Schwarzenegger came on the show pretty much only known at that time as a bodybuilder.
The current Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hello, Arnold. Congratulations. Aha, Arnold, and one of them is going to be your date. That decision is yours. You're the sole judge, so listen carefully, and a little later we'll ask you for that choice, okay?
Every once in a while, they'd let a man get to choose, and he was one of the lucky ones. He and his date won a trip to Hawaii and even some water skis to go with it. I'll bet Arnold was pretty pleased with the choice. What better place to be than at a beach where you can take off your shirt and start flexing?
And we'd like you to welcome Bert Reynolds. Bert, good evening.
Back in the 1980s, there was a rumor that Tom Celic was Bert Reynolds' son. As a joke, Reynolds sent Celic an autographed photo of himself with a message saying that he was his real father and he left Tom with the Celics to raise as their own. Like Celic, years earlier, Reynolds had appeared on The Dating Game also. This was in 1967, and Reynolds, while he was fairly well known at this point from his time on Gunsmoke and starring in a TV series called Hawk, he was still years away from becoming one of the biggest stars in film. Unfortunately, despite some pretty great answers.
Bachelor number 2, would you propose to me just directly, please?
Directly?
Uh-huh.
I think it'd be wonderful if we got married and ended this silly affair we've been having behind this board.
You did not select Bert Reynolds. Bert, come on and say hello to Susan. Bert, nice try.
The girl chose bachelor number 3, who happened to be a world champion pole vaulter. So, like his pretend son, Celic, Bert went home all alone.
He's the star of his own Saturday morning television show, and is living proof that kids today are more hip than they've been in any previous generation. Please join me in welcoming one of our favorite folks, direct from Knott's Berry Farm, H.R. Puffin Stuff.
As promised, the last 2 are really unusual episodes. In fact, the next celebrity isn't even human. Back in the late 1960s and early 70s, there was a popular Saturday morning kids show called H.R. Puffin Stuff. One of the stars of the show was a life-size puppet character named H.R. Puffin Stuff. Someone on The Dating Game came up with the idea of a Christmas show.
From everybody on Living Island to all of you, a very Merry Christmas!
With kids as contestants and have Puffin Stuff be the one who asked the question. He got to choose the date for the young man waiting off stage.
Bachelorette number 1, I have a secret. Girls like to tease me about my orange hair, my roly-poly eyes, and my big silly tail. what do boys like to tease you about?
Well, they like to tease me about my last name, and they call me Beechnut, fruit stripe gum.
So they get through the questions, Puffin Stuff picks a winner, and then her date comes out. And that poor kid looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there. Well, they did win a trip to a place called Lion Country Safari, and they each got to bring 2 pals along. I have a feeling their so-called date ended the moment they both got to the park with their friends.
Here is Father Groucho Marx.
That, of course, is the legendary Groucho Marx. The woman he's dancing with is his daughter, and he'll be asking the questions on this episode and picking his daughter's date. It's actually a pretty good idea, because while Groucho was 77 years old here, he was still a whole lot of fun.
There are 3 gentlemen back there, and I want you to question them, figure out which one would be best
How
for
do you know they're gentlemen?
Well, I know
The
them.
fact that a man wears pants doesn't necessarily mean he's a gentleman.
Then you're going to have to...
Take you, for example.
Would you say hi to Groucho, please?
Good afternoon, Groucho.
Thank you. Number 2?
Hello, Groucho.
And number 3.
Hi, Dad.
Dad?
Well, you know, he's not going to get anything. Are you ready for me to ask?
I'm ready for anything.
I didn't ask you that.
You see me again, and one of those will be a date. You have to make the decision in just a moment. Meanwhile, we'll take time out for this message. Neat game it was. Groucho, you talked to him a little bit. Found out that...
I found out nothing. I found out that they were funnier than I was.
Now, Groucho and Melinda, let's meet the gentlemen.
Bring out this scoundrel who's going to take my job.
Lou, if you would, please come and say hello to Groucho and Melinda. Come on over here, Lou, and stand next to Melinda.
Okay, that was a whole lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed these as much as I did. There's more from where these came from, so if I find there's an interest in doing another one, I'd love to do some more. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.